Bună ziua, camarazi din toată lumea. Asta este povestea de iubire de un tată de un fiu și un fiu revoluționar republican care zice că capitalismul și comunismul e fătată aceeași mumă. My name is Julian Ickham, and this last week, I realized how mortal I was. I realized that I will not do the failure of the Cultural Revolution and not create new cadre. So, as everyone knows, I have left ventricle hypertrophy, which is caused by the torture I received at the hands of the states on both sides of the pond, and the fear my dad feels every day he leaves the house. So I saw the other day with my dad, once in a while we sit around just so people know what happened because everyone's all worried. There's this guy named Russian who's really Serbian who has been hunting me down for the last little while. And the reality of the situation is that he's not the one who's causing this. It's the state that's doing that. They offered me the same deal. They said, "You want blanket immunity? We know you're an idealist. You know your comrades in Ireland have betrayed you. No one stood by you on your hunger strike. Why don't you just take out your enemies? We'll turn the other eye, and when you just give up your enemies to us." And I told them to go fuck themselves because that is the righteous thing to do. I am a principled person. Anyways, come Christmas holidays, I couldn't get my medications to keep my heart in check. But I was happy because we were all going to go and deek the kurkan, lavoshi, pigs, whatever you want to call them. And I was on the top of the stairs, and we don't know what it is yet. I had some sort of heart thing, either a heart attack, possibly a heart attack, and I fell down all the stairs. And then I was saying, help me. But I've been such a smoker since I was a kid because eu sunt copilul care tot timpul zice nu. So if you tell me do something, I'll do the opposite. And the person was really, really, really impressed about that I've traveled all over the world, that I've known so much, this and this. And the paramedic and my dad were talking, but they thought I wasn't seeing this. And I had the blood pressure cuff on, and I know how that works. And I know they were trying to whatever. And I had my own agenda. And so then the agenda changed. We were going to have a meeting. We were going to do criticism, self criticism, take what is good from communism, take what is bad from. No, not. Yeah, take what is good from communism, take what is good from republic, like from capitalism. But there's nothing really good from capitalism. Take what is good from rational school of thought and come up with things. So those who saw yesterday's post on with a picture of Antifa know that I played a big role in doing it. Freedom is an illusion. A right is something you have by virtue of being human. A right is not something that can be taken away from you. In the words of my father, at least in Iskra, you knew what was true and what was not. Here, they breed stupid people to fill their factories. And they're not stupid, they're actually intelligent. They know the history, all of history of the downtown, of our dead. We immortalize ourselves. We have a community, a neighborhood, one of the poorest neighborhoods in Kitchener. And I've gotten into so many fights over it. We've had all sorts of things to defend it. And then I met the 32s. Now, we heard from the Provos because of my family's relatives and Lali Zahu fighting in Spain and getting Ogajika, Irlandeza, Kukopil, Shavutunavort. In Orthodox beliefs, that's not something you do, but all life is sacred. So instead of going on to say what I was going to do yesterday, changed the plan and threw everything off course. So I'm like stuttering, muttering, whatever, this is that, the other thing. The world is on fire. I shit you not. We have come to a revolutionary situation. And this part 3 is inspired by 3 things. Now, we talked about the Red Army faction. We talked about how in West Germany, the Gestapo was still put into power. We talked about how in the Ukraine, the Banderistas, which were like the Nazis, like the Nazi helpers, were so happy and at killing people that the Nazis themselves were horrified. You should read Hitler's Willing Executioners. Now, I don't believe this whole like guilt thing, but they said, we are not going to be good Germans sitting outside of the gates of Auschwitz. This was when all sorts of things were going on and pan Arabism was happening and that sort of thing. So I said that at the beginning of the speech, and it was all working class, lumpen people, and they all understood it. This person is like, the Holocaust. But I kept my mouth shut because, I don't play the guilt card. I am a revolutionary. I am a people. I'm not the pigs. And this other person was saying how good Horty was, and you know, that communism equals fascism. And I'm like, and like in 1958, you know, it was so horrible. I'm like, wait a second. The Soviet Union didn't invade Hungary. Yugoslavia didn't agree with them, and they were kicked out of the Warsaw Pact. No, 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 no. What happened was Horthy was a fascist, and he wanted Transylvania. And Vlad Tepes was part of Order of the Dragon. And Bela Kun, who the hope and the dreams of the Soviet Union, of the world, rose a people's uprising. And Romania, under a German king, went and crushed the revolution, unfortunately. And what thanks did Horthy give us? Horthy soon multe răspunsuri la valea auzului și la valea spânzuraților. So these places, you know how, like, the reals, the so-called dissidents, the 32s, whatever, Nuco, Ruco, memorize their dead? Well, we do too. And you're having old ladies fighting against cops. And Colleen Georgescu, like the Order of the Dragon, Romania, like use the dialectics for a second. And then I want to break it down hip hop style for you. Use the dialectics for a second. Romania is a small country caught between the bear and the eagle. Hungary, at that point in time, was part of the Order of the Dragon. The Order of the Dragon's role was to keep the Ottomans out. Now, instead of anyways, going back to the crushing of Bela Kun, instead of thanking us, they massacred and murdered us. And they're ripping our Troitsa, which is like the Celtic cross in terms of its symbology to us, how we honor our dead. And this guy's like, oh, communism equals fascism. First of all, I'm not a communist. I am a Republican, like the Republicans in Spain, like the Republicans of Thomas Jefferson, even though his republicanism was built on the backs of others. I am of the brand of Wat Tyler. When Adam delved and Eve span, who then was a gentleman? But dialectically, Hegelian dialectically, thesis, antithesis, synthesis, a small person caught between two people maneuvers and makes alliances that are needed. You can't take on all your enemies at the whole time, etc., 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 etc. The fact that cops are attacking, oh my god, I can't even just think about it. Anyways, so I said the whole thing about me falling down the stairs. It ended up being a concussion. I remembered yesterday. I've been having issues with my blood going up and down, this and this and this. I'm supposed to stay 4 hours a day lying flat every day, which I naturally did anyways. But my dad's an amazing poet. He seeks truth from facts. He went all across Turtle Ireland and wrote the plight of the indigenous people. And he wrote poems about it. And he wrote poems about all sorts of things, metaphors, this, love, eros, this, that, the other thing. And YouTube ripped it all down because it defended the idea of sovereignty. It defended Colleen Georgescu. It defended Alan Ryan. It defended Louis Riel. So I'm not allowed, well, legally, I am allowed to have social media, but we all know the Americans own everything. So any social media I have is gone. And, when you're isolated, it's easy to feel betrayed. Once in a while, I use my dad's phone. You're not supposed to say names on phones. It's like basic culture. So this guy knows everything about fascism, but knows nothing about whatever. He mentioned my name, and he asked about that. Uh, my dad tore him a new one, and good for him. And I was like, you know what? We should have finished the job in 58. Fucking every time we help Magyari, they stab us in the back. Under Ceausescu, they had autonomous zones. They have political parties. They have. Anyways, so that was one of the things, the evil tankies. Okay, Tito didn't get along with Stalin. Neither did Mao. Neither did Dej. They just got kicked out of the Comintern or what have you. It was a threat. But, the workers are intrinsically intelligent, but students believe what they're told. And oh, those poor Horthy. Romania was neutral during the war. It was the German King Carol who married someone that Hitler would not have liked because whatever. So the other thing was there's this person, Shoshwaka. She's really, really, really smart. I don't know where I stand on her. Seek truth from facts. But Vexler, which is like this big corporation, blah, 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 ripped up a picture of Mircea Eliade that I don't really care much about because he said that my dad was someone of Turta and Koliva, so fuck him. My dad washed hospitals, toilets for sick and grateful children while he made money. And allegedly he was interested in legionarismo. Well, Heidegger was a Nazi. Legionari weren't Garda de Fer. Those are two very different things, according to Nuremberg. One was a Mishkare, and one was a party based on blood and blah, 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 blah. But all of it was directed by the German king. So now, in the EU, they pissed off Latin America. They pissed off Russia. They pissed off everyone. And now they want to go and build their utopia out of the gold of the mines and mountains and whatever. So, anyways, this person ripped up a picture of Mircea Eliade, Mihai Eminescu, who is like Jose Marti for Cubans, and a bunch of other people. And I'm like, okay, that's it. It's kicking off. Not just in Romania, in the occupied 6 counties, everywhere we have common history of orthodoxy with Serbian people, with, believe it or not, even Irish people. St. Patrick was hidden by the Copts, believe it or not. Coptics are monophysicists as opposed to whatever, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the third thing that pissed me off was someone said I looked on yesterday's video like I was on drugs. All my life, I have done everything to not be seen as a criminal. And when I say criminal, I don't mean this and this and this. I'm beyond their good and evil. Nietzsche talks about the two different types of mentality, that of the slave driver and that of the exploited. You know, the mentality of the slave driver can kill, do whatever he wants. And the mentality of the exploited is, go to church and pray on Sunday. Yeah, well, fuck that. I'm beyond good and evil. But I'm not a criminal. I am politically persecuted. I've been arrested more times than I can count, and I only have one conviction. So, to wrap things up, and also to let my sister Veek know I'm okay, I have left ventricular hypertrophy. I had some sort of heart thing right before Christmas. We were all planning to hide because for a piece of property that we won, that Metrolinx wants, the Supreme Court won, they get this guy go in the middle of winter with like wind chill factor of minus 30, 40, breaking tents, burning tents, this and that, this and that. And, like drugs is a way in which they criminalize you. And the irony of all of this is that I have not done drugs once I became political, revolutionary political, and decided I'm not going to work for SIDA or one of those Soroist. Yeah, it was George Soros, who was also a Magyar. And I'm not against Magyars. Lots of Magyars were good. My grandmother hid a Magyar, and it's actually kind of funny. She asked, "Is it true that you share everything, including your wives?" And the person was like, "No, we have proletarian morality." So yeah, I have clarity of purpose, and my purpose is the destruction of system built on the blood of the innocent. All life is sacred. That doesn't mean go shoot abortion doctors. That doesn't mean go whatever. Abortion is between a woman, her God, and her doctor, or her medical wife, or whatever. In fact, women are the creators of life, and women have brought life into this. But I will not be labeled a drug user. I have been persecuted not because of drugs, but because of whatever. Plus, because I did some fucked up shit in Ireland because I have to manage my pain and I get blackouts. So I do everything I can not to put myself in a situation where I black out because I do interesting things. My sister took me out. Anyways, that's not important. Uh, so yeah. Uh, this person is being pressured to go after my dad and me and my family and everything. And we were all going to go to different places. And lo and behold, I had whatever I had, fell down every single stairs, used that as an time to whatever, uh, got off the pain meds, but then the pain was so horrible. Luckily, it was Christmas weekend. For the whole week, we were hiding in the neighborhood and making sure that we're safe. And my dad tells me every time I see an ambulance in this area, I think they're after you. Every time I see a cop, it's the same thing. That's what love is. Love is not something that whatever. I love Nikos Kazantzakis, and everyone should read Last Temptation of Christ. It's an amazing book. It is. And the sin of it isn't, this and this and this. The sin of what is betrayal? Betrayal isn't from your enemy, betrayal is from your friend. So in Last Temptation of Christ, Judas Iscariot, well, Iscariot, come on, linguistics, a knife. Judas was kind of like national liberation, and Jesus was like the martyr. And when Judas saw what he done, he felt into the sin of despair of being believed that I could not be forgiven. And so his sin wasn't betrayal. Anyways, the last temptation of Christ was, what if I gave up the revolutionary life, had a family, had kids, blah, 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 blah. And Judas is yelling at him, not the real Judas, he's probably dead or somewhere or whatever, hanging himself. And it's like, no, no, no. And then Jesus is like, no. And yeah, that's something important for later. But yeah, Vexler, you made the biggest mistake. And I am glad to be living in these times. I want to be the John Reed of 10 Days That Shook the World and Pancho Villa and all that of the whole world. It's going to take me at least 3 years to get my EU citizenship, since the government can kill you and the Romanian government has nothing. So, the solution for Romania, Călin Georgescu, a republic, Tsigan are not Egyptians. That comes from gypsy. Armeni are not Tsigan. Benetsen aren't Yugoslavian. We're one people. We're a republic where the law is written by reason, not landlord, kings, or priests. Shout out to Kieran Murphy, Pip. I love the Free Staters video. You're a legend down here. You two is shit. Not like the people and this and this and this, but whatever. Freedom of speech, just watch what you say. But the best thing about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is the first line. All these rights and freedoms are reasonable within a democratic country. Thank you very much. Bye. Wait for whatever part it is, which is tomorrow. How do I hang up and stream? Yeah.